being alone, I guess. Dying alone, living alone. Yeah, being
We back. We back. We back. We back. We back. Alright. Turn it down a bit. Make sure y'all can hear me real quick. Hold on. Alright, y'all. Let me wind down a bit. Okay. Let's turn it down a bit. Ooh. It's getting a little loud. Alright, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to Dissecting Dialogue. Another episode. Another crazy episode. And as you can see, this is not my studios. I am actually, I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm not here, but let's just say some stuff went down at the crib, per se, and had to get a hotel room for the night. I'll be back next week, though. I'll be back in my set, though. It's all good, though. But, what y'all been up to? It's been a crazy few events that's been going on. What y'all think about Elon Musk and firing damn near most of Twitter and then changing that shit? I don't know about y'all, but I don't. I see this heading in the wrong direction. I don't know. Something about that guy just gives me, the creeps. Just something off about him. You ever look at people and they just seem too perfect, or they seem like nothing is wrong with them, but they got something in their sleeve? Don't get me wrong. A lot of those, multi-billionaires in that realm have that issue. But I don't know, something about that guy in particular, Elon. Yeah, seems like he's for himself and nobody else. And a lot of people cape for him a lot, but I don't understand really why. I'm like, he's just another, person that they put on their agenda that's just like the face of a lot of people that's just, basically working like slaves in a sense, and he's banking off of it. But I mean, if you get to the point where you work hard to get where you're at, I mean, you can pretty much make anybody your pet at that point, Kind of like what the president does. But anyway, that's not the nucleus of tonight's episode. So I was noticing something. So for those that they know, I got the stage manager thing happening around September. Trying to see different avenues of where I can go as far as like the business that I'm entering in. Trying to see different ways of maneuvering. Not limiting myself to one thing, right? Expanding my horizons, not being content with, you know, being complacent and having the same boring profession for the next 40 years until I croak type of thing. But I was looking up some things. I was noticing that um, especially in the job market, like it's not, it doesn't really hit the same. A lot of people are kind of not really going with the whole quote unquote 9 to 5 work week. Now, I wanted to bring up somebody that some of y'all may be familiar with, some of y'all maybe not. So, let me introduce y'all. Now, for those not familiar with Henry Ford, if you know who Henry Ford is, let me find him real quick. I'm sorry, my stuff's freezing. Now, Henry Ford, for those that don't know, created Ford Motor Company, which then created, Ford vehicles, basically. Um, Chief developer of assembly line technique and mass production. And he was responsible for creating the first automobile that middle class Americans could afford, basically. Because around that time, certain luxury cars were hard to come by. And based on what Henry did or what Henry paid others to do for him, was create something that could be affordable for most middle class working Americans to afford. So I will give him that, you know. So yeah, they said he was known for a pioneering a system that launched mass production and sales of affordable cars to the public. Now, he was born on a farm in Michigan's township. Uh, Now, his dad was from Ireland, County Cork, and his mother was actually American. His father actually immigrated from England, had a family that immigrated from Somerset in the 16th century. His mom was actually from Michigan, and she was the youngest of Belgian immigrants. Her parents died when she was younger, and she was adopted by neighbors of the parents. Growing up, he had, let's see, one, two, three, four siblings. He had four siblings. Um, he was pretty okay in school. Uh, he finished eighth grade, but he didn't attend high school. Instead, he got a job at 16, being a bookkeeper, and that's when it kind of started. When I'm being a bookkeeper. Then a few years came. He first got interested in cars, and around the later half of the 1880s, he began pretty much working cars, fixing engines, all that. And through the 1890s, he worked with a company called Edison Electric. Now, if y'all familiar with Thomas Edison, yes, you're right, another thief, responsible for the light bulb. And then in 1903, he founded Ford Motor Company after many failed attempts, when he tried to do many businesses. But success in the automobile field was his bread and butter, so he just stuck with that. Here's where it kind of shift gears, right? In 1908, the introduction of the Model T automobile revolutionized both transportation and American industry. Now, the Model T was the first mass affordable automobile, which made car travel available to middle class Americans. The low price was partly the responsible of the fabrication that Ford was known for, including assembly line production instead of just an individual hand carving. So it was a big deal at the time. Not a lot of people was used to seeing cars like that because they're used to seeing, the old school type stuff, almost look like stagecoaches type of cars. But because of this, a lot of people started gravitating to it. They thought it was, oh, I can go places quicker and it's cheaper. So it was very revolutionary for its time in a sense. Now, as the Ford Motor Company's sole owner, he became one of the richest and best known people in the world. Now, here's where it gets to now. Once you're in a position where you're making all this money and everything just moving so fast, it's only a matter of time where it's like you can't do everything for yourself. So this is when this comes in, and this adds to the topic of this episode, tonight's discussion. Who told us to work every day? Now, I already mentioned to y'all who Henry Ford is. Now I'm here to let me get break down the 9 to 5 work week. All right. So for those that are familiar with the 9 to 5 work week, it was a structure that was solely made by Henry Ford. Right. Now, the concept of it was that for 5 days of the week, Monday through Friday, which is usually school, for kids, usually when they're in school, right, is how they they kind of set up, workers, working class people of certain labor, whether blue collar, white collar, how they pretty much schedule these individuals to, keep the workload going, make sure they don't tire them too much, but don't give them too much of a break. Make them work 5 days, make them rest 2 days. Is how the concept started. Now they say it goes back to even ancient Rome days where every eighth day, I believe they said it was a Nudine. It was a market day during which children were exempted from school. So like the time can kind of get a little funky around that time. But the main concept of why the 9 to 5 day work week was so efficient was because they were able to make certain workers kind of be comfortable with, okay, yeah, it's kind of tiring, whatever, but as long as I'm getting certain benefits and certain packages, as far as me, as far as other people, getting their benefits and getting the right breaks they need, then it's like, okay, I can still have time to work, still have time for my family. But throughout time, a lot of people didn't really like it. A lot of people kind of got bored of that concept. What people started to notice was with this 9 to 5 work week system, a lot of people started to realize that they weren't really happy where they were at. A lot of people were kind of, let's be honest, drained. I mean, if you like conceptually, and if you think about it, say you wake up, let's just say you wake up at like 7 o'clock or something. You have like a few time, sometimes you brush your teeth, wash your face, get some time to eat, whatever. And then you get yourself dressed and then you have all the time to start clocking in to 9. You work those 8 hours, come back home. Say the travel is like maybe like depending on if it's traffic, maybe like you'll be lucky to get there about an hour, right? Now you're already tired. Now say you have kids. Now you're already tired. Then you gotta make sure everything's good with the kid. You gotta make sure they're fed. You gotta cook for them. Then that's like another hour of your time wasted. Then if they need assistance with homework, maybe like a few minutes, etc., etc., etc. You may have a few time to yourself, watch TV, etc., etc. Then you go to sleep. 8 hours. So 8 hours of working, 8 hours of sleeping. Then the rest of the 8 hours is just divvied up, not really focusing on your passions, not really focusing on any ideas of yourself. Basically, your whole purpose is just being a workhorse. Now, if y'all remember the movie Sorry to Bother You, it was pretty much showing capitalism and, you know, just that crooked system, like how people, uh, just like the higher, like the lower class and like the upper, just clashing with one another. And it shows how, people could pretty much get taken advantage of with this kind of work system. People say they're against a certain system, but they kind of fall victim to it, which is another thing the 9 to 5 week kind of did. It kind of made people become complacent with just, going with the motions. They became very lethargic in a sense, you know, didn't really have any motivation to do anything else. And I think with this system, it kind of, how I put this? it makes certain individuals of a certain power get control of those individuals. That it's like, okay, as long as I give these people this, they'll be able to do that. And if they threaten to leave, I can let them get extra hours. I've been working since nonstop, so y'all gotta forgive me. So just to crunch it down, so the whole concept of it was he wanted to make a system where around the time, like, because you got to think money was different back then too. So say like I say like minimum wage to us back then, to us now was probably a lot back then. So saying like a $5 a day wage back then was probably like, I don't know, maybe 17 back then. But the way it was set up was that if we get these people a good wage and they meet the hours, oh, they'll never leave. They'll never have any chance of like getting up in the company. They'll just be, because there's people like that. There's certain people that I know, and again, not in. I say this lightly. Not everybody is meant to be the head honcho. The problem is not everybody is supposed to be the head honcho. Some people need to learn how to play their position, but because of this, weird system that we're in, everybody thinks that we're supposed to be. Everybody wants to try to be the boss, but they don't know how to lead. And I think what this 9 to 5 system did was create a rat race in a sense. Now, what is that exactly? Now, since a rat race is an endless, self-defeating, or pointless pursuit. Think about a rat, not even a rat, just say like a gerbil or a hamster, right? You know that wheel that keeps spinning, keeps spinning, keeps spinning, keeps spinning. That's what most of us were programmed to doing. And then there's that, say there's a dollar bill, and then it just keeps spinning, you keep chasing that, you keep chasing that. That is what we're doing when we pick these jobs. Just constantly chasing something that it's like you're chasing something that you're never gonna catch. And I think Henry Ford knew what he was doing. As long as he get people to make him catch something that they were never gonna catch, and as long as it made him wealthy, so be it. And it worked. It worked. Same thing with, John D. Rockefeller creating the school system. School system is just a precursor of kids pretty much becoming workers. And then Henry Ford and his model was basically, you know, kind of like that, like kind of like just like school, like when you're practicing. Because every time you're in school, what are you doing? You're memorizing stuff. You're taking tests. You're taking notes. If you get help from somebody else, you get penalized. If you question the teacher, you get penalized. If you try to leave for the bell rings and the teacher tells you, excuse me, if the teacher tells you, no, you're not supposed to leave before the bell rings, I dismiss you. Do that not sound like, oh, we might need you to come early. I know you're off today, but I still want you to come up. If you know I'm off early, why the hell are you calling me? Or they'll do this. Hey, I noticed that you clocked in kind of early. Try to keep it at below, like no more than 5 minutes before you clock in. A few minutes later, that's my little voice. Is it okay if you can do overtime? How long? Say about 30 minutes to an hour. Oh, okay. So you don't want me to come in early than the time that you want me to, but I can stay as late as possible. That's what the system created. It created a system. It took our ambition and passion out of us just so we can just be in this never ending cycle of achieving something that essentially doesn't exist. I was reading, I was actually like doing like some research. I forgot what percentage of people are living paycheck per paycheck. Why was that a percentage of people? I forget what the percentage was, but I know it was like a crazy percentage. Give me a second. Y'all gotta forgive me. I was. Here we go. Check this out. This is in April, but it says with inflation stubbornly high, get this, 58%, it's almost 60%, right, of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. For those that may have trouble with math, let's just round it to 60%. 60%, see, converted, 3 out of 5, right? 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10 people. Let's just convert it to 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Maybe like a little bit close to 3 people out of 5, right? In America are basically just getting by. But America, we have so much to offer though. But 60% of the people that live here are barely making it. 60% because of inflation. And it's because of individuals like a Henry Ford that created this shitty ass system that created people that could have been great thinkers and great visionaries, but turned them into work slaves. But it got so bad that every generation after generation always likes to talk down and shit on, you know, the younger generation. Oh, y'all are this. Then that generation, oh, y'all are that. Then they get old and then they talk about them. Oh, you're this. We're all in eating the shit sandwich. Like, I'm gonna be honest, we're all eating shit right now. We don't have to always eat it, but if we continue to just lie down, just taking it and not do anything about it, then of course people are gonna, turn this off. Of course they're gonna say something about it. Of course it's gonna happen. It's gonna always be like that. That's how the game was set up. The game is rigged. The game has always been rigged. People with good morals, good moral fiber, great character, people that have ideas, you know, great outlook on what could be. Two things happen: either certain death happens, whether it could be physical or it could be you'll paint a negative portrayal in like the history books. They'll out you out as somebody that you're not. Because, like, I mean, off topic, but why doesn't Malcolm X have a holiday? Sure, he was a criminal in his past, but he claimed it was that. Martin Luther King has a holiday, yet there's records of him, cheating on his wife. But, you know, we pick and choose who we want to glamorize. I mean, Adolf Hitler, we think of him as like the most despicable person in the world because, he was responsible for a massacre of 6 some million Jews. But, and I always say this too, and y'all want to get mad at me, I don't care. The only reason why he was famous is because he murdered lots of white people. Because King Leopold murdered way more than him, and you never heard of him until now. Speaking of which, I might do something about mass murderers in history. Might do that on Patreon. I can check that out. But in order for us to get out of this rat race, and like I said, not everybody is meant to run a business. Not everybody's, but this whole concept of having to work every day when we came on this earth with nothing is ridiculous. Especially even if you working every day trying to stack up, I mean, it's not you're not gonna take that with you anyway. So try to make the best of it while we're here. Is all I can say. Don't lose your sanity and you know hurt your body, hurt your spirit, trying to make someone else rich. And I think that's what went wrong. I think that's what Henry Ford had it set in stone is that he wanted people of that certain that I like of a certain class and just constantly be looking around trying to find when they're gonna get their next meal and things like that. That is crazy though. Like 60%, 60% of people is living paycheck to paycheck. But y'all got enough money to give Ukraine all this stuff for a fake war that all of a sudden people forgot about. But hey, that's none of my business. I'm just sipping tea. That's none of my business. But yeah, it's a sick game. It's a sick game, but we can't just live life and like think this is a normal thing. I never did think that I was just you. No, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with pushing yourself to accumulate wealth, accumulate riches. There is a problem where certain people put their job over family, over their principles. That's when it becomes an issue. That's when it becomes a sickness, a disease. That's when it starts to become, okay, something's not adding up. This is like when you start connecting the dots, it's like, yeah, I don't really know what's happening. Something's acting really strange. But, either some people will get it, some people will not. All I know is that we gotta figure out ways to not repeat old habits. We need to create those thinkers, those next big visionaries, those people that when hundreds of years later, when we're all gone, they'll remember us in the history books. Not, don't become distant memories. We want to hear these stories being told and not washed away. That type of stuff. But, that everybody, either some people are going to get it or they're not going to get it. But other than that, y'all like this video, like, comment, subscribe on my YouTube. I'm on Spotify, Anchor. Keep saying Anchor, even on Spotify for podcasts. I like saying Anchor. iHeart, Amazon. If you're not new, continue to like, continue to share, continue to comment. You already know. I'm beat. I'm about to go have fun, chill. I might do some few videos. Y'all know the rest. Till next time, I'm gone. Peace.